Thanks for joining us. Your first question this morning is from Eric Bailey, and then we'll go to Ryan Aber. Go ahead, Eric.
Okay.
Hey, Cale, it's good to see you again, man.
Yeah, good to see you.
Hey, wanted to ask you, how much did Marvin's addition last year really push teammates in terms of seeing a freshman come in and make such an immediate impact? And also, while I'm not comparing the two players by any means, was it similar to how much CD's arrival really pushed that room in 2017?
Well, I mean, we talk competition all the time, and you know, it doesn't matter if you've been here for 2 years and been a starter, and you've had a ton of catches or touchdowns, or you've had a lot of snaps at a position. I mean, everybody that comes in there has got an opportunity to win a job constantly, and you know, Marvin Mims is a young man that came in, and the first thing about Marvin is he's got high character. He's a very hard worker. So he's setting the examples. Again, we're always talking to our players, showing videos of former players, past players, NFL greats, whether it's, a football or a story in baseball or boxing of what you have to do in order to get to where you want to get, in order to be successful, in order to be good. And, he's one of those guys that kind of falls in the line of how hard he works. And he's extremely intelligent. He's somebody that you only have to tell something one time. You tell him one time in the meeting room and you better be right, because he's going to do that way every single time. But he brought up the level of competition, and that's what we have to have. The better he is, the better the next guy is. If you want to catch the ball more, you better be playing better than Marvin Mims, or you better be playing better than Drake Stroups or whoever it is at that position.
Was it, if you don't mind a follow, was it similar to, did you see the same impact CD in 2017? Did he have that kind of impact too on that room?
Yeah. And, very, very similar, somewhat kind of quiet young men, just kind of go about their business. They're not somebody that's a very vocal guy. It's interesting, though. Marvin is starting to become a little bit more vocal. And I think I kind of get that out of him because I'm a vocal person and I challenge a lot. Especially in drills out there, if I'm anywhere near, he's going to find me, and he's going to make damn sure that I feel him whenever he comes and attacks me, whether it's running around or blocking on the perimeter. But I would say those guys are very similar. Marvin's heading in the right direction. Still got a long way to go. Glad he's here with us.
Thanks a bunch. Have a good week.
Thanks, Eric.
Ryan Aber and then Joe Bettner.
Hey, Cale, how you doing this morning?
Yeah.
Hey, I want to ask you about another of your guys, Mario Williams. What have you seen from him so far? What stands out to you, and just what kind of impact do you think he can have quickly in this offense?
He's got a chance to have an impact. Very fast, one of the fastest players on our side of the ball. He loves to compete. He loves to practice. He loves to play ball. And he's a good player. He's an intelligent young man. He's gonna, there's an opportunity for him to help us in the return game somewhere, especially in special teams. But the opportunity for him to be out there and to be able to stretch the field, and again, as you guys have seen with all our wide receivers, our guys, they're going to play inside, they're going to play outside, they're going to play left side, they're going to play the right side. But he's definitely for a young man that still should be in high school right now, he's awfully impressive out there. And again, he's fast. He's got speed. We were talking out there today, and I made a comment on the headsets that, you typically just don't see balls overthrown to the real fast guys. They just have a way to go attack the ball. And again, besides the football side of it, he comes out there every day. He just loves to compete. He's always got a smile on his face. He loves football. He loves competition, and he loves football, and glad he's here with us.
Appreciate it, Cale. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
Joe Bettner, Norman Transcript, and then Jason Kersey.
Okay.
Hey, Cale, you're one of many former OU players now, assistants with the program, and you've seen a lot of those guys now in, like DeMarco, Joe John, Calvin. And I'm curious, just being a coach around those guys that have developed into that, how easy is it to identify maybe a current player that you think is on a trajectory to be a coach one day? Is that easy to identify when they're in college playing in the game?
Well, when I look back on it, it's a great question. When I look back on it, you could see the leadership skills that those guys had. They were competitors. And we've had a lot of competitors around here, but they were, it takes something a little bit different to be able to step right out as a young assistant and to be able to lead a room, to be able to have that energy to go on that road and be able to recruit, and to be able to battle, all the top, college programs across the country. And, you look back on it, all these guys that are here, from Calvin Thibodeau to Joe John to Brian Odom to DeMarco Murray, first of all, very good people, high character guys that never had any problems here, never had any issues, very successful college football players. And some of them had success after college. But, they're dedicated, great character, hard workers. And again, that all that stuff kind of typically finds those guys.
Thanks so much, Cale.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Jason Kersey, The Athletic, and then Austin Curtright.
Morning, Cale. How are you?
Good, Jason. How are you?
Good. Hey, I wanted to ask you, as a former OU quarterback yourself and someone who's seen Heupel, White, Bradford, all the great ones you've had through the years, what does Spencer do that makes him unique and special? And how good do you think he can ultimately end up being?
Well, you're naming guys that were obviously very successful also. You're naming some guys that were Heisman Trophy quarterbacks.
Right, right.
Guys that won a lot of championships, competed at a high level, set a lot of records, and definitely feel like, we feel like that Spencer's on that trajectory to head in that direction. I think the one thing that's kind of a little bit different with Spencer is the ability to make a lot of different throws with a lot of different arm angles. Probably, he throws the ball a lot of times in situations or going to his left or going backwards where most coaches would say you should not be doing that. But this is something that he is, he's worked and he's trained ever since he was in high school. He's spent a lot of time doing that. I can remember we used to watch some of the workouts and that his trainer, had him do back home. And a lot of the stuff was different than most of the true quarterback drills that they have young quarterbacks do. Again, he's still got a lot of his career ahead of him. And in order to get where those guys, where they got, he still has to do so much. I mean, he has to be every bit as good in the meeting room and spend all that time in the meeting room as he does out on the football field. And you guys seen him throw the ball around. And he'll be the first one to tell you, obviously, I didn't speak with Coach Riley. I mean, there's still a lot of things that he can do to become a better football player. And, when you're leading, when you're the quarterback and you're going to lead this team, you're going to be a captain. I mean, you're voted a captain. You're going to be a captain already, and we haven't voted captains. And I'm not saying I should not have said that, but I mean, you guys know what I mean. He's going to be one of the leaders of this team because he's the quarterback of the University of Oklahoma. So there's great responsibilities there. As a young guy, he's, I can see those things. I can see some of the change in him, from last fall to this spring where he's trying to step up and take more responsibility.
Thanks, Cale.
Yes, sir.
Austin Curtright, OU Daily, and then John Hoover.
Hey, Cale. I wanted to ask you about Lincoln specifically. Being around him from his first year as a coordinator to being head coach, how has he grown? And then how was he able to maneuver last season as, this leader for how hard that last season was with the pandemic?
Unbelievable. I mean, he's and you hit it. I mean, he's a leader. He's, obviously had an opportunity to work with Coach Stoops for a long time, and Bob was very, very special and one of the very best. I think the thing that, and I've said this a lot of times about what makes Lincoln so special is, I mean, he gets everything. I mean, anything that has to do with being the head football coach at the University of Oklahoma, whether it's the compliance or whether it's the finances or academics or being a leader or a motivator or a discipline guy. I mean, he gets all of it. A recruiter. There's nothing that that comes to a surprise that he hasn't already thought out. And it's, again, he was just born with a gift, and he obviously has spent a lot of time. He's got a lot of great mentors that has helped him throughout his, career, but he's phenomenal at everything he does. And again, he's not only, what you see X's and O's, he's every bit as good everywhere else as being a leader. He knows how to motivate individual players. He knows how to motivate this team. He knows how to discipline this team. This team follows him. Our coaches follow him. And when you find the who I believe that are the great ones out in society, people tend to follow because of the things that they do and how they act. And he's again, he's the best in our business. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind he's the best in our business. I haven't worked with, obviously everybody, but I'm not even going to, I wouldn't even want to think about working for somebody else as long as I can work with Lincoln Riley.
Thanks, Cale.
Thank you.
It will go to John Hoover and then Kerry Murdoch.
Hey, Cale, how's it going? Good to see you again.
Good, John. Good seeing you, buddy.
Yeah, so recruiting, you're kind of your forte. It's changed a little bit over the past few years. I'm sure you're glad to get the dead period out of the way finally, but overall, in general, you've got the one-time transfer rule coming up. You've got NIL legislation that's coming up. Recruiting is going to change even more, obviously. So where do you see it maybe going in the next few years, 5 years? What kind of challenges would you expect that you'll face? And then is there anything that's going to happen that people aren't talking about right now that maybe you're anticipating could be a problem?
Well, I don't know if there's anything, a lot of stuff that's kind of started to happen has been happening. It's definitely going to change. With the one-time transfer rule, you just wonder, it kind of, initially it kind of makes you think of, what basketball can do, how guys can put their name in a, I'm going to go to the NFL, or I'm going to go to the NBA, but I'm not going to sign with anybody because I might want to come back. I don't know how all that's going to unfold. And those are decisions that each university and head coach and president and athletic directors got to make. But it is going to be challenging moving forward. There's no doubt. We're about to start exploring things in college football that has never happened before. And I think that, the relationships that your coaches and the staff has with your players has always been extremely important. I think it's got to be even more important now. I think you got to know where your players are, mindset when it comes to, being a part of this program and wanting to stick with this program, instead of guys just, wanting to jump ship and go somewhere else. And, but, we're going into stuff right now that we've never been into right now. But as a staff and as Coach Riley, we're trying to, in our minds, we're trying to think of what other things could possibly be happening. We're trying to prepare ourselves for something to happen in 6 months or a year from now. And recruiting has changed so much, as you said, over years. There's so many different things that have changed. The social media has made it, has changed just the world we live in itself, but it's also changed the recruiting side of it. So don't really want to go into what we think are ideas of things that could possibly happen down the road, but it's going to be challenging. But you know what? It's going to be challenging for everybody. And it is what it is. And at the end of the day, we got to get the guys ready that are here to be good football players and to help us win football games.
Awesome. Thank you, Cale.
Thanks.
Kerry Murdoch and then James Hale.
Hey, Cale, how you doing?
Good, Kerry. How are you?
Good. I would imagine you take a lot of pride in probably always will in what the running back position is like at Oklahoma with all the tradition that you built there. So I'm curious, just your feelings on seeing a former player that you recruited taking over that position, and does that make it easier for you to maybe have conversations with him about coaching and working with guys on a practice field?
Well, I've got a great relationship with DeMarco. We've, we were, I hope to say that we were close when he was here, but we've taken the next step, and he and I are very good friends. And it's interesting that you say that. I don't know if I think it makes it easier for me to do, but I do it anyways. That's just who I am. But I don't do it with everybody else, but I do it with DeMarco some at times, and he kind of looks at me and he listens to me for the most part, but occasionally he'll snap back at me but you're right. It's the relationships that we've had before. And again, I do. I mean, I always, whether it's on the field or a meeting room or a hallway, I mean, if I know that something needs to be said to a running back, I'm always going to give my 2 cents to him, and those guys know that they're going to get it from me just as much as they get it from Coach Murray without me crossing my lines or my boundaries as another position coach. And even Coach Odom, and he's on the defensive side now. I don't talk about anything about those linebackers or any of that defensive side of the ball, but again, it's knowing the type of people that they are, I think allows me to maybe have a little bit more freedom to visit with them about certain things to help this program out.
Appreciate it, Cale.
Yep.
Okay, a couple more here. James Hale and then Brandon Drum.
Hey, Cale, nice to see you, man. Hope things are going great with you and your family.
Yeah, James, thanks, buddy.
Cale, every wide receiver we've talked to has said they hope to have a great spring because they didn't feel like last year was a typical year for them as a wide receiver group. From what you've seen spring this year, have they been able to accomplish that? Are they having a good spring, and who's standing out to you?
I think we've accomplished a lot of things this spring, and we as coaches, it all starts with us. We got to do a better job getting across how we want certain things to get done, and it's just not all about our players on the field. It starts with us, and again, how can we get across certain things to make these guys better, make them see them react faster in certain situations, and just put them in more situations to be better football players. And then on the flip side, when they get inside the lines, those are the guys that's got to make the plays. And again, there's some things that we set out as Coach Riley, Coach Simmons, and myself that we wanted to get better at in spring football. And there's a few things that without telling you guys, that we've done that. We've done some really good things, and I think it's going to help us in the fall and in the future. And again, at the end of the day, you've got to play at a high level. And again, you've got to, besides grading the practices, every practice, I mean, we keep scores, we keep charts, to keep competition going. And for example, my group, I can compare back to when Mark Andrews was playing or when Sterling Shepard was playing. And how I graded those guys and the percentages they had in certain areas, and that if our players now can match those percentages, they're going to be very successful players on the field. And so those are things that that we strive for. But I think that there's been some things that we're getting better at. By no means are we there, and we're still developing. The 2 young guys that came in. Mario Williams and Cody Jackson are going to be good football player for us, and they're going to help us in the fall. Depending on how much that's continued up to them through the hard work this summer and their production when we get into fall camp. Drake Stoops has continued to get better. Again, he goes above and beyond, which he has to, because he doesn't have the true skill set that a Marvin Mims has, or the speed that a Mario Williams have or whatever. So, but you can look around and see in college and seeing on the next level where there's been a lot of guys with his skill set who've been very successful. And I mean, you could sit here and say, okay, you could take those guys and this is what they do good. They do these things good right here, which gives them a chance to be as good as some of the guys that are more talented. And that's where Drake has moved in the direction. He's extremely physical kid for a smaller size guy.
Yeah.
He runs tremendous routes. He's got great hands. He's an extreme high competitor. So, he's had obviously a good spring. Marvin Mims is, continue to do Marvin things like he's doing. I think it's, helped with him playing inside some, and again, you're moving an extremely fast guy inside and, where linebackers and safeties are trying to cover. So I think he loves and enjoys running around, and there'll be times that he'll play outside as well. So, and then, having Jaden Hazelwood, for a full spring hopefully he can finish this thing out, but to have him out there every single day, he's had some things that have happened that have kind of slowed him down a little bit through this career, but he's back to healthy, and he made a lot of catches this morning in practice, and some things really stood out. So I think we're heading in the right direction. Just got to keep some guys healthy and see where this goes.
Thanks, Cale. Appreciate it, man. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thanks, James.
We're running low on time. Last one will be Brandon Drum.
Hey, Cal, thanks for doing this.
Yes.
Hey, you've been here a long time and seen a lot of really good teams come through here. And I know it's only spring, but is there usually a trait that you guys or you have seen throughout, the 2000s, the 2004, 2003 team, 2008, that you kind of knew that there was a chance that they could be special? And do you think this team kind of has some of those attributes?
I think you got to have playmakers. You got to have some big playability guys. I think you got to have some strong leadership. Obviously, a very good defense. So there's some things that I've seen, and I know we have seen the coaches. I think we're heading in that direction. And again, most importantly, you got to have the right guys leading this football team, the guys that are leading this team in the locker room, the guys that are leading this team in that dorm, and the guys that are constantly pushing. And because us as coaches, it's our job to make sure that everybody's heading in the right direction. But again, finish up spring the right way. The summer is going to be extremely important, and get ready to go this fall.